How's it going? How's it going? How's it going? Some more. This is Politics with Laura. Well, there is some serious stuff going on. And when I say serious, I just simply mean people, or shall I say, immigrants or first generation immigrants are really starting to see America in a different light after the post affirmative action. I find it quite interesting. Now, I came across this video and I thought it was quite interesting. It by First Post, and this Indian lady was talking about how racist America is, and I'm thinking, you're just now finding that out, and what I find interesting is now after the election, after the post affirmative action, now people that identified as Caucasian are no longer Caucasian. They are considered Black. And it's quite interesting. Just go look at affirmative action and how they redefine whiteness. And if you don't understand that, look it up and then you'll understand it. So she was quite shocked, and I'm like, and then she was talking about how Laura Loomer were, the way she was saying some anti Indian American remarks. I'm like, Laura Loomer has been justifying the slaughter of Black Americans as if it's okay, as if she has the mindset back in the Confederacy, to where she believed in their constitution that white people are here and Black people are not even considered human beings. Just go look it up. Look up the, oh my goodness, if you're ready for it. If you're ready for it. If not, take a week, drink some coffee, and then take a look at her speech. Just look up the Cornerstone speech and read it, and you're going to say, okay, yeah, yes, oh yeah, check that out. So I'm just like, wait a minute, you're surprised, but what's really surprising to me is that India has the oldest caste system. It's nothing but racism and prejudice and all the isms is right there. That's one of the oldest civilizations. So when you're shocked that you are being discriminated against and being called some unkind names, you're shocked. But as long as it was occurring to only the Black Americans, it was fine. You know something? There's this Jewish poem. I don't remember who wrote it, but it states, when it came for that group, I didn't do anything. When it came for that group, I didn't do anything. When it came for me, no one else was there to help me. You know what I mean? So now you're getting what you allowed to happen. You never spoke out any of those things, but I'm done with that. Let me just simply show you some things. I found this quite interesting. But before I do that, let me start off with Vivek Ramaswamy, because he's the one who said that he never faced any racism. And he actually defended the KKK, defended white supremacy, defended that to the core. And I want people to understand, please understand this. People have a way of saying, well, white supremacy is filled with all white people. No. There are a number of white people who do not believe in that. In fact, check out Jane Elliott. She has been hammering people, a white lady, and she has been going across America doing blue-eyed, brown-eyed project. And she started off with school, and she wanted to get rid of racism. And she has been, people tried to off her, and she just says, the only reason why they haven't offed me yet is because if they do, I would be martyred. And then they'll never be able to get rid of me. Like, they're never going to be able to get rid of you anyway. All right. This right here is CNN. Fair use, CNN. Oh, this is going to be good.
Candidate Vivek Ramaswamy, thank you so much for joining me this morning, sir. I want to start with what I began the program with, which is this racist shooter killing 3 Black people in Jacksonville yesterday. What is your reaction to the shooting?
It is such a tragedy, and my heart goes out to those families. This should not be happening in the United States of America, and it is wrong. The reality is we have a mental health epidemic in this country. There are reports that this particular individual.
Is it a mental health, or is it just simply racism? Like I said, racism still exists. It does. But let me go back to it.
The perpetrator was indeed evaluated for mental health deficiencies as well. And I think we need to have the courage in this country to bring back a practice of putting back psychiatrically ill people who pose a risk to their communities into psychiatric institutions, not just drugging them up, but faith-based approaches and other approaches that fill our longing for purpose and meaning in this country. I think it is just a shame that we even have mass shootings like this, be it the one that happened in Florida, be it the recent one, the Nashville shooter in a Christian school, killing 6 in a school. We have to address that mental health epidemic, and we need leaders with the courage to do it. But my heart goes out to those families, and I hope something like this never happens again.
This was very much apparently racially motivated. The sheriff there said point blank that this shooter had manifestos coming, 3 manifestos, and said specifically that he went to this dollar store with the intent of killing Black people.
I think that is heinous and deserves to be called out for what it is. The reality is we've created such a racialized culture in this country in the last several years that right as the last few burning embers of racism were burning out, we have a culture in this country largely created by media and establishment and universities and politicians that throw kerosene on that racism. And I can think of no better way to fuel racism in this country than to take something away from other people on the basis of their skin color. I've been saying that for years. And I think that is driving, sadly, a new wave of anti-Black.
Vivek rubs me the wrong way because you can see him. He is so disingenuous. Just, ugh. I am glad that I'm glad Donald Trump's president. Vivek, oh Lord.
Racism in this country. I think the right way forward is if we want to stop hate and discrimination on the basis of race, let's stop discriminating on the basis of race and see what unites us as Americans, because I do not think this kind of racial division and any division is good for us as the United States.
I believe that there are a lot of people of color in this country who don't think it was just lasting embers of racism, but that a lot more work had to be done, particularly given the history of the systemic racism in this country with slavery and beyond. I want to ask you about a comment that you made about white supremacy in Iowa on Friday.
I've never once encountered that yet. I'm sure the boogeyman white supremacist exists somewhere in America. I've just never met him. Never seen one. Never met one in my life, right? Maybe I'll meet a unicorn sooner. And maybe those exist too.
So just because somebody hasn't encountered one doesn't mean that the notion of white supremacy doesn't exist as a threat in America. What do you think goes through the minds of the families of the 3 victims in yesterday's shooting when they hear you say that white supremacy is basically a fantasy?
I'm sure they're grieving for their loss, and I don't want to politicize those victims, Dana. This is a very sensitive situation where we should have nothing but foremost respect for those victims and not bring them into partisan politics. But I was responding to a question where someone asked me, what racism have I experienced in recent years? And I answered honestly. Most of that racism has come from the.
Okay, he didn't answer the question, and it's a bit too much for me to handle. And clearly, you know, he white supremacy does not need white people to uphold it. Please understand that Vivek has upheld white supremacy. Just understand that he comes from a culture of racism. So he, as you could see, he had no problem. Oh, racism doesn't exist, and it's a fantasy. While you have Black Americans getting killed, and he just is totally out of touch until until he ran for president. And then he started to feel the white supremacy. I found it interesting when he went on Ann Coulter's show, and she just told him flat out, I wouldn't vote for you because you're Indian. I mean, and he went from smiling to just, but let's get into this other video, which made me make this video, because I'm just thinking, when you are okay with people suffering and you see it and you do nothing about it except move on with your life, maybe even participate, maybe here and there, and like you're one of those people that have a rock, you throw the rock and you hide your hand so no one knows that you are a part of it. They see you there, but they don't see you actually participating when you have been. But now I see people making videos saying how racist the United States is. Oh, they're racist. MAGA's a racist. MAGA, 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 racist, racist, racist. Are all MAGA racists? No. I have my channel here, and I haven't received any racist comments. I'm sorry, I was doing a Vivek Ramaswamy. Okay. Here's the other one. This is the one that made me to do a reaction to this video. I just was like, whoa, really? Really? Okay, this right here is first post, fair use some more.
It started off as a debate on visas, but it's now a full-blown racist meltdown. Far-right Republicans are on a rampage. Their target is the Indian American community. And we've seen all the usual tropes. Go back to your country, pray to your pagan gods, wrestle around in mud and eat curry, typical of America's far-right. Even their insults are not too bright. But it does reveal a deeper problem with American society, especially a section of Donald Trump supporters. They hate anyone who is not white. They also hate anyone who is not a Christian. Some Indian American lawmakers are trying to fight this. Among them is Sri Thanedar, a Democratic congressman from Michigan. Listen to what he said, and I'm quoting, "Racism in America is still alive and well, and we must stand up to it together. That's why I introduced a bipartisan resolution condemning all Hindu phobia." And he's at
Wait. All Hindu phobia? So you're only just looking out only for yourselves. You never thought about uniting with anyone else. You never thought about uniting with white people that are not racist. You never thought about uniting with Latinos or maybe even Black Americans. No, that's not what you're doing. You got to make sure that get rid of the phobia, not the fact that, okay, even though you have Asian hate, right? You got that. But now you're like, oh, well, we need this, we need that. You're going about it the wrong way. You really are. because they tell you to go back to where you come from and you smell like curry. Look, I've been told to go back to Africa. And if you don't have a response, you got to stop being so soft. When people say that to me, like, hey, why don't you go back to Africa? And I'm like, well, you can't return stolen property. You just can't. But it is what it is. But still, they are still sectioning themselves off, and it's not going to work. You cannot be standalone and then expect racist people not to touch you. Remember, post-affirmative action, you are no longer identified or can identify as white. You're non-white. Your token is gone. Now, you are going to look at the other side that many Black Americans have. I have. I've had many racist encounters, but it doesn't stop me from looking at good white people, because there are good white people out there. And I have friends that are white, and they're my sisters and my brothers. We grew up together. And if somebody says something racist to me, oh man, they just jump all over them. So if you're not surrounding yourself people like that, then you're hanging around with the wrong people. I'm just saying.
Right. To prove it, let's look at the replies to the same post. This is what people have written. People with the name Sri Thanedar should not be in the government. Racism is good. It preserves bloodlines and cultural heritages. Leave willingly or leave it to chance. You are no American and never could be. As they say in maths, hence proved. And just to be clear, it's not just Hindu Indians. Muslims, Christians, and Sikhs from India also migrate to the United States, and they too are facing racism. So ideally, any law should target anti-India racism. Having said that, we have seen a worrying trend recently, a spike in attacks on the Hindu faith. It started around the time Vivek Ramaswamy ran for president. He is a big supporter of Donald Trump, yet the MAGA crowd never welcomed him. Do you know why? Because Ramaswamy is a Hindu and not a Christian. Take a look at this video from October. It shows a far-right supporter questioning Vivek Ramaswamy. Listen in.
And God has a name, and Hinduism is a wicked pagan religion, and it's completely incompatible with America.
So the question of whether or not somebody of a non...
Hold on for a second. Hold on. Okay. The United States is a Christian country. The foundations are Christian, period. Now, to say that he made a racist statement, he didn't make a racist statement. Now, we have freedom of religion. You can practice your religion, but your religion is your religion. But however, when you want to run the country, people are going to be concerned because this is a Christian country. And that right there is unfair. That's unfair. It really is, for you to sit there and say something like that. Oh, we made a racist statement. Now, if you look at Christianity, anything outside of Christianity is considered pagan. Now, since I don't know how many Indians are Christian, but I know that there's a large majority of Muslim and Hindu or Hindi. But there's a section that happens to be Christian. I just don't know how many there are. But to make that statement, I think that you have stretched that a little bit too much. My thoughts.
Christian faith can embody and lead the United States of America at any meaningful level is an open question. The only point I would make to those who are listening as students, and I'm glad you're stepping up and asking a challenging question. I would advise you to next time leave the disingenuous accusations of motivation to one side, because there's a more interesting exchange for us to have. If you believe that Thomas Jefferson as a deist is somebody who would have been unqualified to be U.S. president, then I guess you and I see the future of the United States of America differently.
He says Hinduism is a wicked pagan religion. And he said that to Vivek Ramaswamy's face. And he saw the response. Pretty meek, to be honest. Ramaswamy did not directly defend his...
Okay, wait a minute. Did you want him to say it behind his back? I mean, that's how Americans are. We'll tell you exactly how we feel to your face. That's just how we are. Now, we don't do a lot of talking behind your back unless if you're one of those cowardly people who do not, you smile in one's face and then you frown behind someone's back. Okay.
His faith. Instead, he called it a difference of opinion. What's worse, he described it as a challenging question. But it's not, is it? Calling another religion wicked is not an opinion. It is hateful and insulting. Yet Vivek Ramaswamy smiled away and answered the question. So he is part of the problem too. And so is Donald Trump.
Okay. No, I think no. It wasn't a challenging question. It was an honest question. But to say what his question was insulting and disingenuous, no, you're really blowing this out of proportion. It's a valid question. This again is a Christian country. Now you have people that may have different ideologies, most definitely. But how can I say this? But when you have someone that is running for president and their beliefs deal with polytheism, and when you have other people that believe in monotheism, then it's going to make people question. And you're in a populous country, people from all around the world that are here, and it most definitely is a valid question that is not racist. It is one of concern because, of course, okay, we haven't had anyone that ran for president that had believed in many gods. That's all I could say. But she continues.
This is a man who made a career out of villainizing migrants, out of targeting Black and brown people. So is it surprising that his supporters hate Indian Americans? Frankly, it's on point for them. I've got some more evidence for you. On Sunday, a social media account started running a poll. The question was quite simple. Would Americans rather have illegal Mexicans or legal Indians? More than 40,000 votes have been cast. And look at the results. Nearly 82% preferred illegal Mexicans. Only 18% said legal Indians. First of all, congratulations to all the Trump fanboys in India. You're finally meeting the real Trump fans. And newsflash, they hate you. But more importantly, what's the way forward? The Trump team has asked its nominees to be silent. They're asking them to not comment on the H-1B visas. The Indian government is also on alert. Reports say they are reaching out to IT firms and business chambers. Like we said yesterday, the problem is clarity. No one knows what to expect next month. Donald Trump has said that he likes the H-1B program, but his far-right advisors do not like it. For example, Steve Bannon.
Okay, before you go to Steve Bannon, okay. H-1B visas, I find rather interesting. Okay. Now, you have schools that India has this main school called India Tech Technology. It's this really big school in India, and they're producing some very good people in engineering and science. And they're basically having them go to school to come over here, not to stay in India to build India up. No, to basically produce students to leave India to come to the United States or wherever it may be having the people going all over the world except India. Some people look at that like, why? I mean, wouldn't you want to stop and, let's say, build your country up? I mean, India should come first. Like the United States, we're like, America comes first. We would build up America first before we would build up any other country. That's the only thing that basically, to me, makes sense. Now, other people, they may view their country, their reality differently than how we do over here in America. But again, and now you're saying that there's racism, and now you're saying that you're being discriminated against, and that you are not only being discriminated against, but now you are feeling the racism. And now you have people telling you, hey, I would rather have illegal immigrants than Indians. So then you might want to stop and think, okay, now some of you you're gonna like, oh, politics, but Laura, you're racist. No. No. But however, it may be something for you to stop and take a look at. Just take a look at. Because what H-1B visas are basically saying is that you don't have any intelligent Americans here. Vivek came out and said, well, you need Indian people here because Americans are, spending too much time watching TV. They're not focused. They are too busy watching what TV show did he say? I can't remember what it was. But he put himself on the front line by saying that, hey, Americans, you're stupid. Because you're stupid, you need more Indians to come over here and help you build this country. Well, stop. Wait a minute. This country has already been built. It so nicely to where it makes you want to leave your country to come over here to partake of what was already built. So that right there, you might want to stop, just stop and reflect on that. Just I'm telling you for a friend, because my friend wanted me to say it. But I just found all this quite interesting. I found it interesting that Indians are starting to feel what Black Americans have felt for centuries. The fact that you're starting to feel it, now you're like coming out and saying, oh, well, this is horrible. We're being treated badly, but you didn't give a crap at all when it was someone else. You didn't care. But now that it's on you, now people do not care. It's sad. But sometimes you may have to come out of your culture and take a look around and just take a look and see what's really going on. And take a look, were you participating in it? And keep in mind, when two people are doing bad things, believe me, one is going to knock the other one off because there could only be one bad person. Okay. And I'm not saying white people are bad. No, that's just a simple analogy. But what are your thoughts? Do you think that because now the post affirmative action and Indian, or shall I say Asian people, are starting to feel the crunch, having affirmative action taken away, having DEI taken away, and now having people looking at the H-1B visas, having people look at that and say, well, we have engineers here. We have American engineers. We don't need any more Indian engineers. Maybe later on down the line, but right now, Americans need jobs. And that's what it basically boils down to. Americans do need jobs. We do. We have engineers, we have doctors, we have lawyers, we have all those things. On that note, what are your thoughts? Please like and subscribe and check me out on Instagram. I'm there too. on that, Politics with Laura. On that note, I want to thank you for stopping by.